Okay, if your top 10 NFL wide receivers right now, so taking both the wide receivers career and 2023 into consideration, but with more heavily skewed toward their 2023 production. So number 10, I'm gonna have Kenan Allen. He had what, over 1,200 yards, over 100 receptions in just 13 games. Um, Keenan Allen's still good old reliable. He's not really a deep threat, but he's super reliable. He does not drop a lot of passes, and he puts up really, really good stats, and is really important for that offense. However, he almost missed my list because he has not played a lot of games the last 2 seasons. I think the last 2 seasons he's only played 24 games, which isn't a lot, and a lot of those games he was injured on. But when he plays, he's super effective, so I still think he's a top 10 guy. But his injury history and his age is definitely concerning right now, but I don't think it's enough to knock him off the top 10. And number 9, we have Mike Evans, Mr. Consistent. Last year at over 1,200 yards, almost 80 receptions, 13 receiving touchdowns, and is always a deep threat, averaging 15.9 yards per reception. Mike Evans, like the most well-known stat, he has had 10 straight seasons, or his whole career he has over 1,000 receiving yards, and last year with Baker Mayfield, he did a lot better. He's always been a very good uh, catching touchdowns and going for the deep pass, but last year he looked a lot more consistent for the most part. Um, so I have him at number 9. Number 8, I'm gonna have Devonte Adams. He had a bit of a down season last year, but I think that could be due to his quarterback situation. He still had over 100 receptions. He still had over 1,100 yards and 8 reception touchdowns, which is a down year for him. His yards per reception is low at 11.1. He's usually a lot higher than that. And his 175 targets and 103 receptions is kind of concerning. That's a lot of targets for that few receptions. But that's still a very good statistical season. And like I said, his quarterbacks definitely weren't the best in Jimmy G and Aiden O'Connell. And he had a bad head coach. So I give him a pass, but definitely a little bit of a down season for Devonte Adams. But he's still one of the top 10. And number 7, I'm gonna have Puka Nakua. He has only one season under his belt, but it was a record-breaking season. Um, he broke the rookie receiving record, although he did it in 17 games compared to Jalen Waddle's 16 games in 2021. So yeah, he had almost 1,500 yards. So very productive, very good at yards after the catch. Yards per reception is really high. I just wish he had more receiving touchdowns. I know um, he's not much of a red zone threat, but I wish his receiving touchdowns would be a slightly higher. But still very very good rookie season. Those are some like veteran top receiving numbers there, and he was game changer for the Rams offense. And number 6, I'm gonna have Jamar Chase. He wasn't really talked about a lot. Similar to Devonte Adams, he definitely had a changing quarterback situation. Still very good though. 100 receptions, 1,200 yards. Not his yards per reception was a little bit lower than the previous 2 years. Um, and a PFF grade of 85.3. Ever since his rookie season, Jamar Chase hasn't really topped that rookie season yet, which is why I'm not putting him in the top 5. But he's still a very, very good productive season. His reception touchdowns a little bit low, but his receptions were good. Yeah, he definitely made an impact. And number 5, I'm gonna have AJ Brown. He was very good with the Tennessee Titans, but ever since he got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, he's gone like another gear. He's averaging what, like 1,450 yards both season, over 100 receptions, 7 reception touchdowns, which is also a little bit low. But AJ Brown, to me, I wish he was a little bit more consistent as well. He had a stretch where he was just dominant, but a stretch where he was not that productive. So if he became a little bit more consistent, I think he would definitely be in the top 3. His stats definitely look like a top 3 wide receiver now, but I still have to see a little bit more consistency from him, and maybe a few more reception touchdowns. But you know. Number 4, I'm gonna have Amon Ross St. Brown. I think St. Brown has improved every single year. From his rookie season to his second season, he had over 1,000 yards, and last season he had over 1,500 yards. He had way more reception touchdowns, 10 reception touchdowns last year compared to what, like 6 his second year. And his yard per reception, 12.7, is good for him. compared to his previous years where he's hovering around 10. So Aman Rogers continues to improve. 119 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 91.2 PFF grade, and all of this in 16 games. So Aman Rogers just continues to improve and improve. Last year, to me, he was a fringe top 10 wide receiver, and now he's all the way up to number 4. Number 3, I'm going to have CeeDee Lamb. I remember 2 years ago when people were talking about CeeDee Lamb's breakout season, and in 2022 at 1,300 yards, and then last year he stepped it up again with 1,700 yards, 12 reception touchdowns, 13 yards per reception, 135 receptions, led the league. His numbers, especially in the back half of the season, were they were like the best, even better than Tyreek. Um, but his impact on the game in the regular season was great, but not so much in the playoffs. That's really his only knock. Definitely one of the more versatile wide receivers, being able to play on the outside and the slot. Number 2, I'm going to have Justin Jefferson. In 10 games, he still got over 1,000 reception yards. He had 68 receptions. His 15-point um, yards per reception was really good, showing that he can be a deep threat. He can break tackles. 5 reception touchdowns, not a lot. He's got to improve on his receptions touchdown. I know it's not his strength, but he's got to improve on that. Get at least like 10 a season. Other than that, when he was healthy, he looked he looked like the good old Justin Jefferson that we knew from previous years. Number 1, I'm going to obviously have Tyreek Hill. In 16 games, he had 119 receptions, led the league with 1,799 receiving yards, 15.1 yards per reception, and I think his most significant improvement that popped him up to number 1 was his reception touchdowns, 13, which is Tyreek usually only averages around 6, 7, or 8 reception touchdowns, and last year he got 13. Of course, he led the league in reception yards, so definitely have him at number 1. Last year he was probably one or 2, and this year with Justin Jefferson getting injured, Tyreek Hill is number 1. And for everybody that skips to the end of the video, he's a list of the top 10, including 2 honorable mentions that barely missed out, being DJ Moore and Brandon Ayuk.